Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something fascinating, though, sometimes a bit tricky. The whole art of indirect English. We're calling this deep dive Chat Like a Native, and that's because we're looking at how English speakers use, soft language and why figuring that out is so important. Seriously, if you've ever walked away from a chat thinking, hang on, was that a yes? Or a no? Or
Sure.
maybe? Or, felt like you just weren't quite getting the real meaning behind all the polite words? Well, this deep dive is basically your shortcut. Our whole mission here is to help you understand not just what people are saying out loud, but what they really mean underneath. And look, this isn't just about sounding politer, though that helps. It's really about communicating clearly, building that trust, and actually getting things done, whether you're in a big meeting or just, chatting with friends. It's about moving past the surface words so you can connect much more deeply and feel way more confident doing it.
That's exactly right. So many learners feel that little bit of a disconnect,
Hmm.
like a barrier when they're trying to really engage. And getting the hang of these um, nuances, this indirect communication, it's not just some fancy advanced skill. Honestly, it's the bridge.
A bridge?
Yeah, the bridge to feeling properly confident, properly connected in English. It lets you jump in fully, share your thoughts, understand what's really going on in a conversation, all without feeling, overwhelmed or constantly second-guessing.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question then. Why? Why does English seem to lean so much on being indirect, maybe more than some other languages? It drives people mad sometimes. As I think we've all been there feeling confused. What's actually going on? Why not just say it directly?
That is a great question. And it basically comes down to three main reasons. They're all tied in to how English speakers tend to navigate social stuff.
Hmm.
First one, probably the most obvious, is politeness. Simple as that.
Okay.
In many English-speaking cultures, softening your message, well, it lowers the pressure on the other person. It gives them room.
Room to maneuver.
Exactly. Room to agree or even disagree without feeling backed into a corner or, embarrassed. Think of it as just a subtle way of showing respect. Then the second reason is uncertainty. You hear these things called hedges all the time.
Hedges, like in a garden.
Not quite. Linguistic hedges.
Ah.
Words or phrases that soften things up make a statement less absolute.
Ah, like might or maybe.
Precisely. Might, a bit, sort of, kind of. They aren't just like filler words. They signal that the speaker's maybe not 100% sure, or they're open to hearing other ideas.
So it shows flexibility.
Right. Flexibility, willingness to maybe adjust their view
Yeah.
rather than just stating a hard fact. And the third one is face saving.
Jack saving. Okay.
We use indirect language to protect dignity, ours and theirs. It helps handle tricky moments like criticism or saying no in a way that avoids making anyone feel awkward or embarrassed. And what's really interesting is you often don't need to change your actual message at all. Yeah. It's just the packaging, as you said earlier. Often just a word or two right at the start, maybe a slightly softer tone of voice.
Mm-hmm.
That's what turns something potentially rude into something respectful.
I love that packaging idea. It makes it feel much less like guessing and more like, I don't know, a strategic choice. You're still being clear, just choosing the right wrapper for the situation. So if we want to get good at this packaging, what are the key tools? What can people start using, like, right away?
Okay, let's build that toolkit. One of the absolute essentials. Modal verbs.
Could, would, might.
No, those ones. You got it. Could, would, might, may. So instead of just saying, send the report today, which can sound a bit like an order.
Yeah, a bit demanding.
Right. You just say, could you send the report today? Instantly softer. Or if you're talking about yourself, I might need an extra day.
Mm-hmm.
Feels much gentler than I need an extra day.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got softening adverbs and fillers. Tiny words. Huge impact. Like a bit, a little, slightly, rather, possibly, perhaps, sort of, kind of just. Think about saying, the homepage is busy. Feels quite direct, maybe critical.
Okay.
Now try the homepage is a bit busy, see? That a bit just softens the edge, but the core message is the same. Or perhaps we could try another layout. It's a suggestion, not a command.
That makes sense. What else?
Question formats,
Yeah.
super useful. Instead of close the window, ask, would you mind closing the window? Much more polite, right?
You definitely.
And for opinions, use introductory phrases. Things like, I'm not sure I agree, or from my perspective, or it seems to me that.
So it frames it as your view, not just a bald fact.
Exactly. It signals, this is how I see it. We also use minimizers for requests to make the request seem smaller, less of a burden.
How does that work?
You might say, when you have a minute, could you? Or maybe add, it's just 2 lines of code. It downplays the effort involved.
Makes it seem easier to say yes to.
Right. And finally, a really important one. Give a reason with your request. It shows you respect their time. Like, because the client is reviewing at 3 p.m., could we finalize the slides by 1?
Oh, okay. The because gives it context, makes it feel less random and more like teamwork.
Precisely. It's collaborative.
Wow. It really is amazing how tiny word changes make such a difference. You know, hearing send me the file become could you send me the file, please? Or even you're wrong, shifting to I see your point. One concern I have is it completely changes the feeling. It's like a little diplomacy hack. Okay, now we absolutely have to tackle this one word. It causes so much confusion for learners because its meaning seems to flip completely sometimes. Let's talk about quite.
Ah, yes. Quite. It's a classic example of English subtlety, isn't it?
It really is. How do we figure it out?
Okay, here's a good rule of thumb. Think about the adjective that comes after quite. If it's an adjective you can grade, put very in front of, like good, bad, hot, cold.
Edible adjectives. Got it.
Right. If it's one of those, quite usually means fairly, rather pretty.
Hmm.
Importantly, not very or extremely.
So, that film was quite good means.
It usually means it was fairly good,
Yeah.
decent, okay, not amazing. It's often kind of moderate praise.
Okay, moderate. But what about the other type?
Right. When quite comes before what we call non-gradable or absolute adjectives, words that already imply fully or completely, like
Yeah.
perfect, impossible, excellent, unique.
Things you can't really be like very unique sounds odd.
Exactly. With those, quite often intensifies them. It means completely, entirely, absolutely.
So that's quite impossible means.
It means it's completely impossible, no doubt about it. And there are other patterns, too. You might hear quite a best plus a noun, like that was quite a challenge, meaning a significant challenge. Or quite a few people, which actually means many people.
Ah, okay. So quite a few is the opposite of a few.
Often, yes. And sometimes, maybe a bit more formally, you'll hear it with verbs like I quite agree, meaning I completely agree. Less common in casual chat, maybe, but it's out there. Now, you also need to be aware of a slight regional thing.
Oh.
Yeah. In British English, quite good very often means moderately good, maybe even implies it could have been better. In American English, quite is used a bit less, but when it is used with strong adjectives like quite excellent, it can actually mean very.
Okay, so context and maybe location matter too.
Yeah.
How do you tell in the moment?
Great question. Always check the type of adjective, first gradable or absolute. That's your biggest clue. But also, listen to the intonation.
How it sounds.
Yeah, a rising tone, like it was quite good, can make it sound more tentative, more like fairly. But a firm, falling tone, it was quite good, can sometimes strengthen it, especially in AV, or just sound more definite about the fairly meaning in BRE. It's subtle.
Wow, that's a lot, writing on one little word and how you say it. What stands out to you about that? I mean, how one word can shift so much based on what follows or the tone. It really hammers home that you need to listen beyond just the dictionary definition. Okay, so speaking of listening beyond the surface, let's move from single words to whole phrases. There are so many everyday expressions, especially at work, that sound like one thing but often carry a totally different message, right? I remember saying, "That's interesting," to a colleague once. I genuinely thought I was being polite and engaged, but I saw their face fall later. Clearly missed the memo on that one. So what's the real deal with these phrases?
Oh, that's such a common experience, and it shows exactly why decoding these is crucial. You're right, context is everything, who you're talking to, the culture, what's at stake. But there are definitely common patterns. Knowing them saves a lot of guesswork.
Yeah.
Okay, let's circle back. Often this means, look, not now, maybe later. Or honestly, sometimes it means, let's just forget about this.
So how do you handle that?
Your best bet. Pin it down. Ask for a specific time. Great, shall I put 10 minutes on the calendar for Thursday at 10:30? That forces clarity. How about, I'll think about it. Usually a soft no, or maybe they genuinely do need more info.
So don't put.
Probably not directly. But you could offer help. Is there any particular information that would help you decide? And your example, that's interesting. Oh boy. This one is almost always neutral at best, and often, yeah, it signals skepticism or even disagreement.
What should I have done?
Maybe gently probe.
Oh.
Was there anything specific you found interesting or perhaps concerning? No, not bad. This is a funny one. Especially in the UK or Ireland, this usually means good. It's classic understatement.
So if someone says your work is not bad.
Take it as praise. And maybe follow up. Thanks. Anything you'd suggest changing?
Hey.
Well, we should catch up sometime.
Yeah.
Sounds friendly, right? But it's often just a polite way to end a conversation. No real plan.
So if you do want to catch up,
Make a concrete suggestion. I'd love that. Are you free maybe Wednesday around 2? Okay, warning phrases. With respect. Or don't take this the wrong way, but
uh-oh, brace for impact.
pretty much. Criticism is likely heading your way. Best move. Take a deep breath. Listen carefully to the actual point they're making, and maybe ask just one clarifying question afterwards. Don't get defensive. Then there's, I'm not sure that's the best approach. That's a very common, polite way to say, I disagree.
How to respond.
Ask for their reasoning and alternative. Okay, what risks are you seeing with this? Which option do you think might work better? And lastly, it's a bit tight. Translation. This deadline is probably impossible.
Don't just say okay then.
No. Propose a solution. Understood. If we move the review meeting to Friday, would that give us enough time? It turns it into problem solving. All these phrases, they're about reading between the lines.
Those are incredibly helpful, especially for work. Getting those right can totally change how things play out. Okay, speaking of work situations, let's tackle a really important one. Giving and receiving negative feedback. How do we do that clearly and kindly, without making someone feel attacked or making things super awkward?
Right, this is where that blend of indirectness and clarity is absolutely key. Because vague feedback, that just makes people defensive or confused. But feedback, that's specific and respectful. That's something people can actually use to improve. There's a really effective, simple, 4-step structure for giving feedback. You can pretty much memorize it. First, the situation. Be specific when and where. In yesterday's client call.
Okay, sets the scene.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, the behavior. Describe exactly what you observed. Crucially, no labels, no judgments. You interrupted Anna twice while she was explaining the budget. Not you were rude.
Just the fact.
Just the facts. Third, the impact. Explain the consequences. What effect did that behavior have? Because of that, the client seemed to withdraw a bit, and we didn't get her full perspective on the budget issue.
Connects the action to the outcome. Makes it less personal.
Precisely. And finally, fourth, the next step. This is about looking forward. Invite collaboration on a solution and agree on one clear action. Next time, maybe you could try jotting down your questions and wait until she finishes speaking. What might help you remember to do that in the moment? That whole thing. Situation, behavior, impact, next step. You can deliver it calmly in under 2 minutes. It's respectful, it's actionable. And you can soften the entry too. Use phrases like, look, my goal here is just to help us both succeed with this project. Would it be okay if I shared a quick observation? Or, I might be seeing this wrong, but here's something I noticed. Key things for delivery. Keep your tone calm, low volume. Focus on the specific behavior, not the person's character. Stick to one main topic per feedback chat. Don't unload everything at once, and suggest one main improvement to focus on.
That structure is gold. So clear and practical for giving feedback. But let's be honest, receiving feedback, that can be even harder. How do we stop ourselves from getting defensive and actually use it to grow? So true. We often prepare for giving it, but receiving it catches us off guard. But you absolutely can turn it into a growth tool. There's a kind of script for receiving it well, too. First, just listen fully. Don't interrupt, don't plan your rebuttal, just absorb. Second, acknowledge it. A simple, okay, thanks for telling me that directly goes a long way.
Shows you're open.
Exactly. Third, if you need to, clarify with one specific example. Could you point to a specific instance where that happened so I can understand better? Fourth, plan one small, concrete change. Okay, I understand. Next time, I'll make sure to summarize their points before I respond. I'll focus on that this week and check back in with you on Friday.
Taking ownership.
Yes. And fifth, actually follow up. Show them you took it seriously and made an effort. You can even ask helpful questions when receiving feedback, like, if I could change just one small habit related to this, which one do you think would make the biggest difference? Or, what would success look like next time in your eyes?
I love that what would success look like. It makes it collaborative again, turns criticism into coaching. That's the goal. It's about taking control of your reaction and channeling it constructively.
Okay, so these principles, the softeners, the structure, the focus on behavior, they don't just apply to speaking, right? They work for writing, too, like emails.
Oh, absolutely. You can use the exact same toolkit. Think about crafting polite email requests using could you or would you mind. Pushing back on a deadline using it might be a bit tight because, followed by a proposed solution. Declining an invitation politely, using phrases like, unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, but thank you so much for the invitation. The principles transfer directly. And we can't talk about communication without mentioning, well, how things sound. It's not just the words.
You mean intonation?
Intonation, stress, yeah. Sound matters. Think about tone of voice. A rise-fall tone often sounds quite definite, certain, I'm quite sure. But a rising tone tends to soften things, makes it sound more like a question, or opens the door for discussion. Could we maybe try a pilot first? That little lift at the end makes it a suggestion.
Less demanding.
Exactly. And stress. Putting emphasis on certain words changes the meaning. When you ask for help, stressing the reason shows respect for their time. Remember, because the client review is at 3. Could we? The emphasis highlights the why, making the request feel more justified.
It's subtle but powerful. I really do encourage everyone listening, try recording yourself. Just say a simple sentence like, maybe we could try this, first with a falling tone, then a rising one. You'll hear the difference immediately. Okay, before we finish up, are there any common traps or mistakes people fall into when they're trying to be polite in English? Things to watch out for?
Yes, definitely a few common pitfalls.
Mm-hmm.
One is actually over-softening.
Too polite.
Kind of. Using too many hedges in one go. Well, maybe we could sort of, perhaps, kind of try. It just makes you sound really hesitant and unsure, not politely flexible.
So the fix.
Keep it simple. Stick to maybe one softener or hedge per key point or sentence. Clarity is still important. Another big one is the quite confusion, assuming it always means very.
Right. Check the adjective type.
And listen to the tone. Then there's being polite, but ultimately unclear. You soften the request so much that the other person isn't sure what you actually need or by when.
The fix for that.
Always include a clear action and, if possible, a time frame. Who needs to do what? By when? Politeness shouldn't sacrifice clarity. Also, try not to read every single indirect cue as a definite no. Sometimes it's just a slight hesitation, an invitation for more discussion, or a need for more info.
So don't give up immediately.
Ask one clarifying question first.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand it's tricky. What specifically would need to change for this to be possible? And finally, a big one for feedback. Skipping the impact step. If you just point out a behavior without explaining its effect, it can feel like a personal attack. Include the impact. Because you missed the deadline. Behavior. The client presentation was delayed, impact, and it becomes constructive.
Those are fantastic points to keep in mind. And like anything, getting good at this takes practice, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Consistent practice. But the good news is it doesn't have to be hours a day. Even a focused 10 minutes can make a real difference.
Like a mini workout.
Exactly. Maybe 2 minutes warming up, just saying some softening phrases aloud. 3 minutes transforming direct sentences, maybe from your own emails into polite versions. Another 3, decoding some of those tricky phrases we talked about, planning your follow-up. And 2 minutes mentally running through that feedback structure with a real example. Short, sharp, regular practice is way more effective than cramming.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, the big takeaway seems to be that polite, indirect English isn't just memorizing phrases. It's more of a mindset.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's a mindset. It's
Yeah.
about fundamentally aiming to be clear, yes, but also to be kind, and crucially, to make it easy for the other person to understand and respond. And when you truly grasp that mindset, you gain something much bigger than just politeness. You gain the power to decode not just the words people use, but the meaning behind the words.
The subtext.
The subtext, the intention. And that builds trust, it strengthens relationships, and honestly, it helps you get better results in pretty much every conversation you have. It's about really connecting and communicating like a native.
What a fantastic thought to end on. That power of understanding the meaning behind the words. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive for Chat Like a Native. We really hope you found this useful. Go try out some of these ideas, listen closely in your next conversation, and see what difference it makes. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.